Can't get Let It Go from Disney's Frozen out of your head? Well, it might be time to make room for some new earworms because Frozen 2 is headed into theaters very soon. Variety's chief film critic Peter Debruge is here with me to discuss. So Peter, did you like it?
The movie's a lot of fun. I will say that I think a lot of us who love Frozen kind of have an idea in our heads of what we want. And this movie isn't a rehash of all the kind of like greatest moments of the original, even though it reassembles the core characters. Elsa, Anna, Olaf the Snowman, you know, they're all kind of back for what is a continuation of their story. It took some warming up to. I mean, it was probably 30, 40 minutes until I was kind of...
You had to warm up to Frozen?
Yeah, kind of. You know, it took me a little while to find myself invested in the story. A lot of the early stuff is them kind of like joking around before the adventure gets going. But once it does, I mean, not only is it really engaging, but the movie is really beautiful, both in the environments and just the storytelling. I mean, so it really does kind of end up winning you over.
That's normal.
Some new characters in the mix as well. Sterling K. Brown has joined the cast. Tell me about who he plays. He's the first character of color in the Frozen universe, right?
Well, this movie actually opens up to include more diversity all around in that respect. Sterling K. Brown is part of this old clash that happened decades earlier, more than 30 years earlier. And this group of soldiers were frozen or kind of trapped for 34 years in an enchanted forest.
Where did you learn magic?
So what are the odds, you think, of Frozen 2 being up for, I don't know, Best Animated Feature?
Well, I think until now, this has been the big wild card. Everybody's been looking at the fact that Toy Story 4 made more than $1 billion, and that sort of made it the monolith in the room. I mean, that said, this has been a pretty strong year for animation. I love How to Train Your Dragon 3. I wouldn't count that out. There's incredible work on Missing Link by Laika. Netflix is releasing a movie called I Lost My Body that won a big prize at the Cannes Film Festival and has done really well on the festival circuit. So that would be my dream ballot. Those movies there with Frozen 2 maybe taking the 5th slot. I think this movie is stronger than the first one, but I don't know that audiences will love it more. You know,
interesting. That kind of leads me to my next question, is because Frozen was the top grossing animated film of all time.
Right.
It did come out 6 years ago. Has that love for the Frozen universe, is that going to extend into this sequel?
In terms of conventional wisdom, sequels often outperform the first film. So the sky's the limit with this one. I mean, that said, I do think that it relies a lot on your awareness of the Frozen characters. And here's a classical Disney movie that delivers all those, kind of qualities you want, but it's also reinventing the mythology of what a Disney fairy tale film is.
Find who is calling to you. They may have answers.
The first Frozen, that's what a lot of people noticed, that it kind of turned this trope of romantic love and a girl looking for her prince into something completely different, and some would say more progressive. Does this one also lean into that a little?
Yeah, I think what it does is it kind of expands on that, because you did have in the first Frozen this kind of reinvention of the idea that a princess is a passive character waiting for a Prince Charming to rescue her, or that a Prince Charming is automatically a good guy. It was sort of playing with all those things. But I think, what's also very interesting is there's not a traditional villain here. It's kind of revealed that it has more to do with a problem that their grandparents started. And in a way, I think that's a very modern interpretation and very different from the Disney template. The idea that this young generation of kids in the world now are inheriting problems, environmental, colonial, race relations from their parents, from the past.
From previous generations,
and having to sort it out in a mature and progressive way without the movie feeling like it's lecturing to us, but really reflecting, I think, the reality that younger generations are dealing with.
Peter, always good to hear from you. Always good to hear what you think. And for more movie reviews and the latest in Hollywood, head over to Variety.com.